I've always dreamed of having a car like I have now. My mom, my dad both taught my brother and I, if it's something that you really want, it can happen. It might not happen overnight. The best things that last, it's not overnight. You've got to work for it. You got to put blood, sweat, and tears, persevere over any obstacle. Obstacle is a part that you just take a break. It's not to throw you off, it's to make you take a break. So you get to the obstacle and you say, okay, we need to take a break a minute and come back to it. But don't give up on the dream. Because that's why they call them dreams. They just, it's things that you've always wanted. You work toward it. You get that obstacle. That means take a break, sit back, regroup, go back to it. Same thing as when you're building something, you get frustrated, it doesn't work. If you lay back, think about it, either a couple minutes, an hour, or the next day, when you go back to it, I know a lot of people, once they go back to it, it clicks. Oh wow, that's the way it goes. I own a 1985 Monte Carlo SS. That's what the car was born as, a 1985 Monte Carlo SS. What I did to the car is the interpretation I thought Chevrolet should have done with the car. The best of all the G-bodies. The car is a super jet black PPG paint. The wheels are the stock 87 Monte Carlo SS wheels that I sent to All-Star Metalworks in California to get them chrome plated. The front wheels on the car are the stock size 7-inch. The rear wheels have been cut and split to 15 by 10s, but it's all of it's stock Monte Carlo SS, but chrome plated. The underneath of the car was done by a boat shop. That's very fitting because this is all right here. All it is boating, yachting, and things like that. So for them to come on board and do it, that was a good change of pace for them, as well as it was pretty cool for me just to know, it was still done here on the Outer Banks. Everything is polished, stainless, chrome plated. The floor pan has been smooth and painted. Underneath of the car looks just as clean and sharp as the top of the car. And a lot of times when I go places and I show the car, that impresses people more than the top side of the car. And then when you go to the interior is the stock designed Monte Carlo SS with a couple of different options. The color is a cream and black. I'll call it the tuxedo. Every time someone sees it, they say it's a white and black, but it's really not white. It's like a cream color. And I just thought that was retro to that style vehicle. Always liked it. They used it in the 70s and with the muscle cars and all, so I always wanted one done like that. And what I ended up doing is took the stock shifters out, put a set of Hurst Lightning Rod shifters in there that come out of a Hurst 442 Oldsmobile. And when I did that, I originally put the stock console in it, but the shifters were so long, and on the Monte Carlo console, it's real skinny. So I opted to use a Pontiac Grand Prix console, which is a little bit wider, and it fit the shifters a lot better, made it look more tight and right, basically. And what I really ended up doing is taking all of the best G-bodies and making it in one, and building the car like I thought Chevy should have done it in the beginning. So that's what I did. So after we got the interior stuff figured out, wanted to do a nice motor compartment, nice motor. And when I first started, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I know when I go to different shows and things like that, you see people putting this small block, a big block, or turbocharged blower or something like that. But I wanted to do something totally unique. And I had a friend of mine, Mr. Chris Devlin, that owned a Buick Grand National. And he asked me, he said, "You ever thought about putting a Grand National motor in this car?" I said, "No, not really." He said, "Well, let me take you for a ride." So he took me for a ride in his Grand National. and I was hooked. So he ended up saying, I'm getting ready to buy another one and fix mine up, but all I need is the body. Let's go half on this thing and you can have the drivetrain. He searched and found this car this guy was selling for real cheap. Not even gonna say the price because no one would believe it. I bought the drivetrain from him, he took the body, and I ended up putting the Grand National motor in here. Ended up doing a whole lot of chrome work, TE61 turbo on it, had some head work done, had intercooler work done, intake, a lot of performance goodies. But if you look at the car under the hood, you'll see it all chromed out and basically looks stock. So we kept everything looking stock, but performance-wise, we did a lot of different things to it. When you're dealing with a turbo, you can bring the boost up and down for different horsepower and torque and things like that. So right now it's set just basically stock because I've got a lot of chrome work done under the hood. So to keep heat down, but it can roll right on up about 600 horsepower, 500 pounds of torque with the right boost. And it will put you back in the seat. I don't drive it much like that because I show it mostly, but it will, it will put you back in the seat. I was really blessed. The very first show this car went to was the SEMA convention in Vegas. Very first event, Vegas. And Vegas is the Super Bowl of car events. And to build a car and that be its first event, that's indescribable. And when I went out there, I got nominated one of the top 25 cars. Went out there just because I got invited and wasn't expecting anything. It's a little small town car from Manio, North Carolina. I was walking around SEMA, came back to the car, and I saw Miss Kathy Fisher from Low Car TV. And I told my buddy, I said, that's Kathy Fisher, I wonder where she's going. She came up to me, she's like, "Sir, I sure hope this is your car." I said, "Yes, ma'am, it is." She said, "We've been looking for you all afternoon, all day." I said, "Okay." She said, "You wanted a finalist and we want to interview you on Low Car TV."
Sometimes you come across a vehicle that, well, maybe the manufacturer should have made it this way right from the start. And that's pretty much, Michael, the way that you feel about what GM should have done with the Monte Carlo. Put a completely different power plant under the hood.
And that went over real well. And the car, then people started seeing the car all over, and I started getting all these calls, and I could not believe it. I was just like, wow. And it seemed like from then, that was in 2013, every event that I went to from 2013 up until my last weekend, I've won an award. From Best in Show, Outstanding Motor, Best Interior, Outstanding Undercarriage, Best every award that it is to win on a car, I've won it with this vehicle. And if you look around the man cave I have here, you can see every one of them. It blows my mind, all the different magazines. And I remember as a kid, I always wanted a car that would be cool enough to be in a magazine, let alone 5 or 6 magazines. And I've been in 6 magazines, 7. And it's all I can say, it's a blessing, because the only way it gets done is the help and grace of the good man upstairs. I talked with a gentleman at a Super Chevy show about his Chevelle. And I told him, I said, I want a car as nice as this one day. And he asked me, he says, "Are you rich?" I says, "No, sir." Said, is your family rich? I said, no, sir. And as the old saying goes, champagne tastes and beer wallet. So he said, if you decide to do it, just don't rush it. Do it the way you want to do it, no matter how long it takes. He said, because that's what he did. And one day I was getting ready to go on a trip. Came in the garage to start the car. Would not start. The starter went out. And it was the most expensive starter I've ever bought. So I jumped in another vehicle, did my weekend, came back, started taking the car apart. That was the start of this car being built. A starter went out and started taking the car apart. Me being naive about building cars and what it took and this, that, and the other, I started this journey and I knew what I wanted, but I wasn't sure how to get there. Didn't know how long it was going to take to get there. I was going by what this gentleman was telling me, so I knew it was going to be a while. And I just started doing it, and next thing I know, I had the motor out, had the front end off the car, and I was going to just do it, I might as well say halfway. And once I got into it, I saw it needed this, it needed that, and everybody that messes with vehicles, once you take one apart, you see, oh, wow, I need to change this while this is already apart. Get that done, man. I mean, might as well do this because this is apart. Next thing you know, I had the car completely apart, had it off the frame. And had a friend of mine who helped me with it. Then I ended up getting a rotisserie from a buddy of mine, let me use it. We put the car on it, took the frame out to Bethel, North Carolina at G-Body Parts, and they powder coated the frame and they helped me with all of the wiring and the plumbing because it had the 305 in it. And we were going to fuel injection from carburetor, so we had to do another fuel pump, return lines, all of the stuff I never even thought about when I was doing this project. So that was a learning curve. So I just kept going with it and everything that it needed. And it just took time. At the time, I was helping a buddy of mine with the limo service. And every season I saved all my tips, and I used the tips to help finance the build of the car, sending stuff off to the chrome shop and getting things done. And when the guy calls me, and he would tell me, he said, I got your stuff done. Sometime I could pick it up right away, and sometime he had to hold it for me for a little bit, but I got it done. Fast forward a little bit, I get ready to send the wheels off to get them chrome plated. I had everything ready to roll. The gentleman I was talking to about the wheels, once he saw them, he wanted to know why I was spending this kind of money on a set of 15-inch wheels. Told him about my project. And he was very, very interested about it. That turned the car in a whole different direction, but for the better. And it ended up making this vehicle a community car instead of just my car. Because once we went in that particular direction, a lot of people got involved and started helping out. And I could see that this was going to do something to really help different businesses, kids, and underprivileged people on Outer Banks and things like that. So it just kind of went in a whole direction and turned from Michael's car to OBX SS. And that's when the community got behind the car. And we went out and they really helped get this thing going. From 2013 to 2019, I went around to different events, letting people get to know me, know the car, and building up equity in OBXSS and Michael Tillett. You can ask people to come somewhere and do something, and if they don't know you, they don't know what kind of person you are, you don't have equity in yourself, you really beat your head against the wall. So you got to have time to reap what you sow, So we just went out and just started doing that from coast to coast. And once we got that equity, I started asking people at different shows, what do you think about going to put an event together on Outer Banks? Some of them didn't even know where the Outer Banks was. I said, Nag's Head. Well, where is Nag's Head? Then I have to go, Kitty Hawk. Right, brothers? Yes, that's how they were at. Because I I said, so then I started saying, what do you think about bringing the show to Kitty Hawk? Then people knew what I was talking about because they knew about the Wright brothers. First thing we got, man, that's a long way away. That's all the way down on the coast. I said, well, I'm here, so it's not that far. I was like, if I can get there here, you can come there. So I just kept beating the bushes. Then I finally got enough interest in the event, and I was in Charlotte one weekend during the show, and I asked this older gentleman that had been showing cars forever. I was like, sir, I'm getting ready to bring a show to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, Nags Head area, Outer Banks. Really? That would be cool. I said, yeah. I said, so you've heard of it? He said, oh, yes. I said, could I get you and your club to come? He says, well, I'll tell you what. He said, I'll come if you can do one thing. I said, what's that, sir? He said, can you do something where we don't have to sit in a blankety-blank yard all day waiting for a trophy? He said, I'm so tired of sitting still. I want to ride. And when he said that, I said, yeah, I can do that. And it just clicked. I was like, man, that would be great. So came back, went and met with a really good friend of mine, Richard Quigley. And he'd always done a lot of stuff with the bike week down here and different events. So I knew he knew how to put some events on, which I had done, some myself, but had done it in a little larger scale. And I asked him, I said, well, what do you think? I'm thinking about putting a car event on down here. Would you like to help me out? He said, well, what do you got in mind? I said, I want something that you can enjoy your car, cruise around, have a good time, and just family fun and fellowship. He said, man, that sounds like a great idea. He said, I would love to help you out. I said, okay. So him and I, we got together, $100 a piece, and we started this car event. And we were trying to figure out a name, and we didn't want it to be a car show. And we asking everybody and asking my girlfriend about it, and she said, it needs to be some type of festival because you don't want just a car show. And we just come up with, how about the OBX Riding Custom Festival? I said, that's it. I said, everybody knows OBX. And so we did OBX Riding Custom Festival. We had a couple different names out there, but that's the one that rung a bell. The OBX Riding Custom Festival. So that's how that kind of started. And we were able to kick that off in 2019. I went to him in 2018, 2019, we kicked it off. I've always wanted to help kids and the community. And with the Riding Custom Festival, that's what we do. It's a true charitable event. The OBX Riding Custom Festival is brought to you by Garage Band Charities. That's our charity group. And all our proceeds are spread out through the county, helping underprivileged kids and anybody that we can help. We use the funds to help the Children and Youth Partnership of Dare County. And that group helps kids K through 12th grade with learning materials, home health, anything to help them better themselves as students and young adults. And, I was always taught, if you help a kid now and invest in him now, you're not spending money on him with your taxpayer dollars in jail. You keep them on the right track, show them about the cars and things like that, because if they get in this car hobby, they don't have enough money to do nothing else, illegally or something legal. So, because it's a costly thing, and it keeps them off the street, keeps them engaged with other people and things like that. So that's what we try to do. And we help with the toy run, food bank, just different things throughout the community. We try to help and do what we can do with this festival. And it brings, thousands of dollars to the community in hotels and motels and house rentals and, restaurants, gas stations, because everybody's coming in with these type cars. They're coming in as a vacation. So it really brings it full circle, and it's just what I wanted to do because I love the county, love the Outer Banks, love where I live, and always want to give back. You get your blessing by helping people. And as simple as that. When you help someone, you get it back. You don't have to do it for profit, because the good Lord upstairs, he's going to bless you. So you're going to get it back. Like the old folks would say, it might not be when you want it, but it's always right on time. So if you continue to take, and you don't give, you're not living.
Mike had asked me to do this, and I told him I was retired. He told me what was going on. I said, well, I think I can come out of retirement just for one more show. So, pulled me out, trying to make this thing happen.
I'm Michael Tillett from Manatee, North Carolina. I'm a real person with a real story, with a real ride.